In the heart of North America, a struggle for freedom was brewing. Mexico, newly independent from Spain, sought to solidify its vast territory. Among its holdings was Texas, a land rapidly being populated by American settlers. These settlers, enticed by promises of cheap land and new opportunities, came with their own customs and ideals. However, cultural and political differences soon created friction. The Mexican government, wary of growing American influence, implemented policies that fueled discontent among the Texan colonists. The seeds of rebellion were sown. By 1835, tensions reached a boiling point, erupting into armed conflict. The Texas Revolution had begun, a brutal yet pivotal chapter in the history of both Texas and the United States.
The first major engagement of the Texas Revolution was the Siege of Bayar in late 1835. This pivotal event marked the beginning of a series of confrontations that would eventually lead to Texas gaining its independence from Mexico. The siege was not just a battle. It was a symbol of the growing unrest and desire for autonomy among the Texan settlers. Bexar, present-day San Antonio, was a strategically important town under Mexican control. Its location made it a key target for the Texan forces, who understood that capturing Bayar would significantly weaken Mexican influence in the region. The town was heavily fortified, with Mexican troops prepared to defend it at all costs. Texan forces, led by me, Stephen F. Austin, and then by Edward Burleson, surrounded the town and engaged in a weeks-long siege. Our strategy was to cut off supplies and reinforcements to the Mexican troops, hoping to force a surrender through attrition. The siege was grueling, with both sides enduring harsh conditions and constant skirmishes.
The Texans, many of whom were volunteers with limited military experience, faced a well-fortified enemy. These volunteers came from diverse backgrounds, including farmers, ranchers, and adventurers, all united by a common cause. Their lack of formal training was compensated by their determination and willingness to fight for their freedom. Despite their lack of formal training, the Texans displayed tenacity and resourcefulness. They improvised with whatever materials they had, creating makeshift weapons and fortifications. Their ingenuity was a testament to their resolve and their ability to adapt to the challenging circumstances of the siege. They utilized whatever tactics and weaponry they could muster, including captured Mexican cannons. These cannons, once turned against their former owners, became a crucial asset in the Texans' arsenal. The sound of cannon fire echoed through the town, a constant reminder of the ongoing struggle. After weeks of skirmishes and negotiations, Mexican General Martin Perfecto de Cos surrendered Bexar to the Texans. This surrender was a significant turning point in the Texas Revolution, signaling the first major victory for the Texan forces. The terms of the surrender allowed the Mexican troops to leave Bexar, but they had to leave behind their weapons and supplies. This early victory, though hard-won, provided a much-needed boost to Texan morale. The triumph at Bexar was celebrated by the Texan troops, who saw it as a validation of their efforts and sacrifices. It was a moment of unity and pride, strengthening their resolve to continue the fight for independence. It demonstrated that the Mexican army was not invincible and fueled the spirit of resistance among the Texan people. The victory at Bexar inspired more volunteers to join the cause, swelling the ranks of the Texan forces. It also sent a clear message to the Mexican government that the Texans were serious about their quest for independence. The capture of Bexar also provided the Texans with valuable supplies and control of a strategic location in the region. These supplies included weapons, ammunition, and food, which were desperately needed by the Texan forces. Control of Bexar allowed the Texans to establish a stronghold in the region, from which they could launch further operations against Mexican forces. The Siege of Bexar was not just a military victory, it was a beacon of hope and a catalyst for the eventual success of the Texas Revolution.
The Alamo, a former Spanish mission-turned-makeshift fort, became a pivotal symbol of Texan resistance. This historic site, originally established in the 18th century, was intended to be a place of peace and religious instruction. However, by the early 19th century, it had transformed into a fortress of defiance. In early 1836, a small group of Texan soldiers, including legendary figures like myself, William Barrett Travis, Jim Bowie, and Davy Crockett, gathered at the Alamo. These men, each with their own unique backgrounds and stories, were united by a common cause: the fight for Texan independence. Travis, a young and determined officer, Bowie, a renowned frontiersman, and Crockett, a former congressman and folk hero, all brought their own strengths to the defense of the Alamo. We were tasked with defending the Alamo against the advancing Mexican army, led by General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. Santa Anna, a seasoned military leader, was determined to crush the Texan rebellion and restore Mexican control over the territory. His army, well-equipped and vastly outnumbering our own, posed a formidable threat. Outnumbered and outgunned, we held out for 13 days against relentless attacks. Each day brought new challenges and hardships, but we remained resolute. The sound of cannon fire and the cries of battle became a constant backdrop to our struggle. Despite the overwhelming odds, we fought with a fierce determination, knowing that our stand at the Alamo was crucial to the larger fight for independence.
Their courageous stand, immortalized in history and legend, inspired countless others to join the fight for Texas independence. The bravery and sacrifice of the Alamo defenders became a rallying point for Texans and a symbol of their unyielding spirit. Stories of their heroism spread far and wide, igniting a fervor for freedom and justice. Every day the defenders knew that reinforcements were unlikely, yet they fought with unwavering courage. The knowledge that they were likely fighting a losing battle did not deter them. Instead, it strengthened their resolve. They understood that their actions at the Alamo would have far-reaching consequences, and they were willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for the cause they believed in. Travis's impassioned plea for reinforcements, victory or death, resonated throughout Texas and beyond, becoming a rallying cry for the Texan cause. His letter, written with a sense of urgency and conviction, captured the essence of the struggle. It called upon all Texans to rise up and support the fight for independence, emphasizing the dire situation at the Alamo and the need for immediate action. Though the Alamo ultimately fell and all its defenders perished, their sacrifice was not in vain. The loss of the Alamo was a devastating blow, but it also served as a powerful motivator. The memory of the fallen defenders fueled the resolve of those who continued to fight, reminding them of the high stakes and the importance of their cause. The Battle of the Alamo became a turning point in the Revolution. It marked a shift in the momentum of the conflict, galvanizing support for the Texan cause and drawing attention to the struggle for independence. The bravery displayed at the Alamo became a symbol of resistance and a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Texan people. It galvanized Texan resistance, transforming the fight for independence into a struggle for survival and vengeance. The cry of "Remember the Alamo" echoed across the land, uniting Texans in their quest for freedom. The legacy of the Alamo defenders lived on, inspiring future generations to stand up for their rights and fight for their beliefs. The Alamo, a symbol forged in fire, remains a testament to the enduring spirit of those who fought and died for Texas independence. Following the fall of the Alamo, another tragic chapter unfolded in the Texas Revolution. The Alamo had already left a deep scar on the Texan psyche, but what followed would further inflame the fires of rebellion and resistance. Texan Colonel James Fannin, stationed at Goliad with approximately 400 men, found himself in a dire situation. Surrounded and outnumbered by Mexican forces, Fannin made the difficult decision to surrender, hoping to spare his men from certain death. Under the promise of fair treatment as prisoners of war, Fannin and his men laid down their arms, trusting in the honor of their captors. However, the promise of fair treatment was a cruel deception. Santa Anna, the Mexican general and president, was determined to crush the Texan rebellion with an iron fist. He saw the captured soldiers not as prisoners of war, but as traitors deserving of the harshest punishment. In a ruthless display of power, Santa Anna ordered the execution of the captured soldiers, hoping to send a clear message to any who dared to defy him. On Palm Sunday, March 27, 1836, the Texan prisoners were marched out in groups under the pretense of being relocated. Instead, they were led to their deaths. The Mexican soldiers, following Santa Anna's orders, brutally executed the defenseless prisoners. The air was filled with the sounds of gunfire and the cries of the dying, as the massacre unfolded in a grim and merciless fashion. This event, known as the Goliad Massacre, sent shockwaves throughout Texas and the United States. News of the massacre spread quickly, carried by horrified witnesses and survivors who managed to escape the slaughter. The brutality of the act, a blatant violation of the rules of war, was met with universal condemnation and outrage. The massacre fueled a burning anger among the Texan population. The cold-blooded execution of their comrades galvanized the Texan resolve, turning grief into a fierce determination to fight back. The massacre became a rallying point, a symbol of the cruelty they were fighting against, and a reminder of the stakes of their struggle for independence. The cries of "Remember Goliad," alongside "Remember the Alamo," echoed through the ranks of the Texan army. These battle cries served as a powerful motivator, reminding the soldiers of the sacrifices made and the brutalities endured. They were fighting not just for their freedom, but to avenge their fallen brothers and to ensure that such atrocities would never happen again. The massacre at Goliad, a brutal act of war, had the unintended consequence of strengthening the Texan resolve. The determination to win their independence was now fueled by a deep-seated desire for justice and retribution. Every battle fought, every hardship endured, was driven by the memory of Goliad and the promise to honor those who had been mercilessly slain. It fueled their anger, solidified their determination, and ultimately contributed to their final victory. The Texan army, united and resolute, fought with a renewed vigor, and their efforts culminated in a decisive victory at the Battle of San Jacinto. The massacre at Goliad, intended to break the spirit of the Texan rebels, instead became a catalyst for their ultimate triumph and the birth of the Republic of Texas. The Battle of San Jacinto, fought on April 21, 1836, proved to be the decisive confrontation of the Texas Revolution. Texan forces, now under the command of General Sam Houston, had been strategically retreating and regrouping after the defeats at the Alamo and Goliad. Santa Anna, confident in his army's superiority, pursued the Texans relentlessly. However, Houston, a skilled military leader, waited for the opportune moment to strike.
At San Jacinto, we launched a surprise attack on the Mexican camp during the afternoon siesta. The battle lasted a mere 18 minutes but resulted in a decisive victory for U.S. Texans. We caught Santa Anna's army off guard and unprepared, inflicting heavy casualties and capturing Santa Anna himself.
This stunning victory secured Texas independence and cemented Sam Houston's legacy as a hero of the Revolution.